Hello YouTube, I am back here on Real Talk. This is Joel, and I know it's been killing you for weeks to talk about Doctor Strange here on this channel. I have been promising this review for almost a week and a half, and finally, by God, finally, I get to review Doctor Strange. So Doctor Strange stars Benedict Cumberbatch and directed by Marvel person number one. I'm kidding. But another movie by Marvel Studios. I want to go right into the talk for Doctor Strange. I think that it was a solid film, beginning to end. Caught my interest from the very beginning and did not lose it the entire time. And so Marvel once again, I think, delivers in terms of keeping me intrigued the entire film. So let's go right into some talk. We're going to be talking the characters, the story and the plot, the spoilers, and the visual effects. Not in that order, but we're going to be talking about all that. So first, let's talk Benedict Cumberbatch as Mr. Dr. Stephen Strange, aka not Hugo Strange from DC, but I loved Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. It was perfect. It was great. Like I said, he mends the roles of the imitation game and Sherlock, like the TV show Sherlock, into this single character that's from America, and it's great. The accent's not really noticeable at all, which is fine. But Stephen Strange, his story from beginning to end, while it's very similar, you're able to sympathize enough with the character due to Benedict Cumberbatch and his range of being a very well established actor. He knows exactly what's going on. He knows exactly what he's doing. And when you see Benedict Cumberbatch come on as Doctor Strange in the costume and everything, it works perfectly. He has the look, he has the style, he has the wit, he has it all. Benedict Cumberbatch has found his superhero character, and it's incredible. Ever since he got announced as Doctor Strange, I was very excited to see this happen. The iconic moment to where he puts on the cape and, finally comes in contact with Dormammu, which we'll be talking about later, was great. His wit is fantastic. I can't say enough about Benedict Cumberbatch. He's great. He was a great character. So what about the rest of the cast? How about Tilda Swinton? I hope that's Swinton. The evil witch, the evil white witch from the Chronicles of Narnia. I'm kidding. But the Ancient One. There's been a lot of controversy with this character, especially with traditionally being a Asian older male. And then this being obviously not that. I think she's British, and she's obviously not a male. But it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me at all. I mean, sure, they did it for reasons of marketing in China and some sort of... I don't know what the agenda was behind it, but it was all pure marketing. It wasn't anything controversial that they wanted to do, because if they wanted to change the character's sex, I don't think the Ancient One's one they were really like, yeah, let's make sure the Ancient One's a woman. I think there's other characters out there in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that they're worth more to change, but they changed the Ancient One simply because of the marketing, and I'm glad they did it. Tilda did a great job as the Ancient One. Blending in both the good and the dark side of her range. Acting was great. There's a certain mystery to her the entire time, and it keeps you on edge the entire way too, because there's always something that she knows and she's not going to tell anybody. And that's a great character to explore as the mystical sage of the movie. And that's what she is. She's the Gandalf, I guess, of this movie franchise, and she did a great job. She did a great job, and I knew she's a great actress. So when she stepped in the role, I didn't notice the fact that if she was a female or the fact that she's not Asian. It didn't matter to me. So it was great. What about Chiwetel Ejiofor as Baron Mordo? Baron Mordo was another character they changed up. This time only racially. Sorry about that. They only changed him up racially, and he was a British character, a white male. In the comic books and in somewhat TV appearances and TV movies as well. But Chiwetel Ejiofor, he was fantastic. I love Chiwetel Ejiofor, the actor. He's every movie that I've seen him in, he's been impressive in. He's a great actor with tremendous range. He was very funny, but also very serious when he had to be. and I think that blends in well with the character of Baron Mordo. If you've not read the comics, he is one of not Benedict Cumberbatch. I'm already calling him Benedict Cumberbatch, but one of Doctor Strange's most iconic villains and rivals. I mainly consider him a rival, not so much a major villain, especially with this movie. He wasn't a bad guy in this movie at all. He was a supporting actor who helped Hugo Strange from the pitfalls of his life and his tragic moments, and helped him find the ancient one and his calling in life, if you want to call it that. Calling in life, if you want to call it that. That's funny. But I'll talk more about his character into the spoilers, because there's a lot to talk about with this character in terms of the future. But I'll go into that in the discussions, or in the spoiler discussion, a little later. So let's talk about the rest of the supporting cast. Rachel McAdams as Christine Palmer. She was great. I mean, I love the fact that they didn't just make her a romantic interest from beginning to end. She was more of a love interest in the past. Not Hugo Strange. My God, Doctor Strange messed up in the past, and I love the fact that they kept bringing it up, that these two had a certain clearing of the air moment, which is great. Especially when it came back to her every time he needed her in the hospital. It's kind of like it was like in Daredevil. I can't remember the character's name, but whenever Daredevil needed some medical assistance, he always went to the same medical facility and the same woman for help. I really felt that dynamic in this movie too. And that one was grounded a lot more than this movie, because that's an entire series based off 10 episodes or so. This is just a movie, and they were able to get that dynamic going early, which was fantastic. There's a lot of motivation with her character as well. There's plenty to explore with her character too. I think she's a great friend for Benedict Cumberbatch's character. If they end up together again, I wouldn't mind it. There's certainly the grassroots for it. There's the seeds planted into it, so there's no doubt in my mind, if they explore it, it'll work. So let's talk about, this is a funny one, Benedict Wong as Wong. That's the character's name. That's the character Wong's name in the comic books. But Benedict Wong was really funny. He was great. He was, especially with the stuff with him and the music, and Beyonce. I can say that because it's not a massive spoiler. But with him liking Beyonce was great. Especially with, the fact that he had a single name, kind of like Madonna or Beyonce. There was a little dynamic between him and Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange, which is great, because in the comic books, Wong is actually a supporting character who is kind of a, apprentice of Doctor Strange, which is kind of funny, because in this movie, he's in a higher position than Doctor Strange in the beginning of the movie. But obviously at the very end, Doctor Strange becomes one of the most powerful mystical sorcerers in the cinematic universe of Marvel. So Wong's got a little ground to work with. But let's talk a little bit about the villains of the movie. Mads, I hope I'm pronouncing these correctly. Mads Mikkelsen. It's spelled weird. It sounds normal, but it's spelled weird. As Caecilius. Marvel they just can't get the villains going right. This is not a bad villain. This is not a bad villain, especially since I knew for a fact that Dormammu was the real villain of this entire franchise. I had that in the back of my mind. It's kind of like the Thanos syndrome, where in the Avengers movies, they didn't fight these strong villains that were like the big bad evil. You always knew that there was a bigger evil somewhere else, and that was Thanos. And I felt that with this movie, but the problem is, this is a single standalone movie, and whenever you have most of the screen time on Caecilius, and there's not a lot to support his character, it's a problem. It's a problem for Marvel that they need to fix, I think, because it's passing by right now. Like I said, they're going through the motion and it's working, but they gotta do something with their villains. They gotta give us a good one. And again, this guy, just like Baron Zemo from Captain America Civil War, had a motivation. He had motivation. He had a goal. He wasn't just a plastered on villain. He had so much potential, but there just wasn't enough screen time. There wasn't enough development for these characters. A flashback with Caecilius may have helped. I don't know. it just did not do much for me, and unfortunately, he will go on as one of the forgettable Marvel villains. And you know who's a memorable? Do you know who are the memorable villains of Marvel? Loki. That's about it. Thanos has yet to appear in a Marvel movie as the big bad, and we haven't seen him yet. And he's already one of the most memorable villains of Marvel. So that's a problem. They gotta fix that. Marvel Studios gotta fix that. And Dormammu. Fun fact: I think Dormammu was voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch as well. So it was kind of funny to see the battle of wits between the two of them, with Benedict Cumberbatch versus Benedict Cumberbatch. It was great. I thought that their little exchange, Dormammu have come to bargain. That sequence was pretty funny and clever. I think it was a clever scene. It was a clever way to end the movie. I guess they still had that whole building and massive cloud or storm attack it and destroy everything. That kind of look is getting so old with these superhero movies, but at least in this movie, it's resolved somewhere else. It's not resolved in the midst of all the craziness happening. It's somewhere else, which I can't say about the other superhero movies that have done the same thing 50 million times. But Dormammu, spoiler alert, this is the first one, so mute it for like a minute. Dormammu was kind of like the Galactus of the Fantastic Four series. So it was really confusing whenever he showed up as a big face in the cloud, because in the comic books he does that. But whenever you're in his dimension, he appears as a body, as like a humanoid body. So it was kind of weird that they went with the cloud approach within the cloud. So I was a bit confused by that. I was hoping to see like a little more hand-to-hand exchange, because it would have been so much more, I guess, fulfilling for Doctor Strange, especially since his hands aren't fully healed yet. But he, like, in the mix of that fight, he regains his hands. So I don't know. That's something I would have liked. All right, spoilers off. So let's talk about the story and the similarities of it between the similarities of it to Iron Man and Batman Begins. so similar to Iron Man and Batman Begins. It's like if you mixed both of them with a little bit of Harry Potter, I guess, with the magic and stuff. You have Doctor Strange, you know. But I mean, overall, the story was passable. It was great. I think that the douche like loses his ability to do something he loves, and he has to do something else, and it fulfills his life type of deal. I think that works for Doctor Strange, because that's his character from the comic books. You know, there's no other way to explore it, and a lot of comic book heroes go through that because, well, that's the best way to really justify a rich person becoming a superhero. Why would they want to become a superhero? They need motivation, and Doctor Strange had motivation. Be it maybe just another version of another movie, but it didn't bother me. What definitely didn't bother me was that the plot line was followed by incredible visuals. The visuals of this movie were great. They were fantastic. I loved them. The mixture of like Inception and the Matrix with, like I said, magic was great. The building movement sequences, the fights within the glass encasing, I guess. I don't remember the terms for them. Please don't kill me in the comments. But the fight sequences were great. They were not too long. They were just long enough to get you intrigued, and they were eye candy for the movie, especially whenever the Ancient One arrived and she started fighting. It was so incredible to see. The whole like dimension circular thing. I think that was wonderful. That was great. But that's all I got for like the basic outlines of the movie. So if you've not seen the movie at this point, cut it off, because from here on in it's spoiler talk. So spoiler alert. The movie to me was a 8 out of 10. That's not a spoiler, by the way, but it's an 8 out of 10 for me. I thought that the story was passable. The visual elements were great. Benedict Cumberbatch was fantastic. The supporting cast was great for a supporting cast. They were great. There's a lot to explore for the Doctor Strange universe, and I can't wait to see him in future films. It'll be great. So let's talk about spoilers. Spoiler alert: the Ancient One dies. Spoiler alert: Thor makes an appearance in the end credit sequence. Spoiler alert: Baron Mordo turns into a bad guy. Spoiler alert: that's it. No, but let's talk about some of the things that in the spoiler discussion that I really couldn't talk about earlier. Let's talk about the Thor, not the Thor appearance, but the Dormammu appearance. Like I said, he appeared as a head, like Galactus. I thought that again, a fight between two people with their hands would have been much more exciting. But the Battle of Wits was very different, and I think that it worked for this movie because everything else was resolved through magic and kind of hand-to-hand combat. So it made sense for an all-powerful being to be outwitted more than out physical, because he really can't lose in a physical fight. But like I said, I mean, the hero versus villain dynamic needs to be fixed in the Marvel universe. It needs to be fixed. I think that there's not enough out there as far as villain-wise. They can't linger on. Like, those Marvel villains can never linger on. They have to die. They have to end up gone for good somehow. I don't know, to make room for Thanos to revive them all? I don't know. I don't think he's going to do that. But if he does that, all of the Marvel's movies would have been a waste. I'm kidding. They wouldn't have been a waste. But let's talk about the two end credit sequence. Both of them are very important. First one is between Thor and Doctor Strange. Especially when I saw Doctor Strange offering him some tea. Or I guess, yeah, some tea or something. And Thor was like, nah, I'm good. He drinks like this massive cup of coffee. Not coffee, but beer. This massive mug of beer. A beer mug. And the dynamics between them was very fun. Very, very funny. Very cool to see. And the way that Thor was mentioning about his brother Loki going back to, and I already forgot his homeworld. But, going back to his homeworld and taking care of business there, he was asking Doctor Strange to aid him. So maybe we get some Doctor Strange and Thor Ragnarok. That'd be really cool to see. I'd really much appreciate it. I think that, poor Thor got the poor toss being left out of the Civil War. But if he gets Doctor Strange and maybe the Hulk in his movie, all is forgiven. All is forgiven. But if he makes an appearance in Thor Ragnarok, I'd be very excited and open to see it. Let's talk about the other one, the final one. This was the final one, I believe, after all the credits. Baron Mordo turns heel. He turns into a bad guy. Apparently he's on a mission to eliminate all the sorcerers and mystical beings, I guess, that exist in the physical world. He wants to murder them all and take away their mystical powers. And it was really screwed up the way he did it to one guy. The one dude that he helped get his walking ability back, he killed him. He killed him, took away his powers. It's like, if no one else is a sorcerer, I mean, if he wants to be the only sorcerer left. He wants to be the only one left, because it seems to me that he wants to take the Ancient One's power, or the Ancient One's position, which she gave to Doctor Strange, I believe, before she died. That's another spoiler. She died, but and she had a good death. She had a great death, but I guess Baron Mordo was bothered by the fact that the Ancient One was taking powers from the dark dimensions and the light dimensions, and she was kind of keeping it to herself while maintaining order within her own order. And I guess it bothered Baron Mordo, and it turned him crazy enough to be a bad guy. And so now in the future, we're going to see some Baron Mordo versus Doctor Strange, which is great. I can't wait to see it. Like I said, the two had a good dynamic. The two had a great dynamic as friends, but as enemies, sky's the limit. And I think Marvel might have found one of its future really good villains in Baron Mordo. I just hope that they give him justice, and because this is Chiwetel Ejiofor. He's a great actor. Do not waste him. So that's all I got to say about Doctor Strange. It was fantastic. I loved it from beginning to end. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Great visuals, fantastic visuals. Okay story, passable story. Great performances by Benedict Cumberbatch. So you have the seeds for a good sequel. Will Marvel do it? Let me know in the comments below if you think Marvel will do it. I think they could do it. I think Marvel's been doing it for years, so why doubt them now? But let me know in the comments below what you think of what you thought of Doctor Strange. If you have not seen it and you watched this part, let me know. Do you still want to go see it? That's great. It's a great movie. But let me know in the comments below. I'd very much appreciate it. Leave a like for this video if you can, and subscribe for more awesome videos. This has been Joel from Real Talk. Thanks for watching.